What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we have got the final from the Transformers TCG Energon Invitational, what was essentially our World Championships. On the left, we've got Ian Wall playing a free wide General Prime deck from Wave 3, and on the right, we've got Daniel Arnold playing a free wide General Prime deck but from Wave 4. So starting off, Ian going first isn't allowed to play any cards, so he just goes ahead and attacks with Prowl, bearing in mind he's got the bold one to flip an extra card, and he's got the white icon there as well, and General Optimus Prime gives him bold one as well. So that's quite a few cards to flip, and we actually see 9 damage, it looks like, going on straight away here, which is a lot. Lot of damage going on to Flame War straight away here. So Daniel, now he is able to have a go. He's actually going to flip over his Flame War, it looks like. Flipping over Flame War does give all of your other characters tough 1, and that is a static thing, not just a this turn thing. And he is allowed to play either an action or an upgrade. Do need to give a quick shout out here to Pastimes, who are providing the footage, because they are awesome. So we do see a sparring gear come down here, giving a little bit of tough, and it looks like we're actually seeing an attack here from Skydive, which gets a little bit of damage on the field. We've only got a natural attack of 3 from Skydive, and Daniel is playing a more defensive deck. So we're not seeing a huge amount of damage coming onto Prowl. Of course, Prowl is the only valid target, given that unless your opponent's characters are all untapped, you have to attack a tapped character. So we do see Grenade Launcher coming down onto Ironhide here, and then we've got the attack, plus the Grenade Launcher, plus any oranges that might come down. Going into Skydive here, looking at Skydive's natural defense of 1 in alt mode, plus any blues, and that's going to go and put, it looks like 7 damage on. So again, Skydive, it looks like, is remaining with a single health. So it looks like both of Ian's attacks here have come exceedingly close to getting KOs, but haven't actually managed to do it yet, which is, I suppose, good for Daniel, not quite so good for Ian. So Optimus Prime is getting flipped over now, and it looks like there's an energy pack. There's a little bit of glare on there, but I think that's an energy pack, giving a little bit more health. And I think he actually played Security Checkpoint here to make both players discard the upgrades from their hand. And then obviously we see the attack with General Optimus Prime here. And, I mean, there's no blues in Ian's deck, right? Ian is playing a very aggressive deck. There are no blue icons, so don't expect to see him. No, I'm lying to you, there are 5 blue icons. Don't expect there to be very many blues flipped here at all. It's not a blue deck. The blues that are there are kind of just there by accident with other stuff. I'm being a little bit disingenuous, but he's playing Matrix of Leadership and Iron Blaster of Optimus Prime. They are the main ones we're going for. So we do get General Optimus Prime here. It's back in bot mode. He's got bold 1 and tough 1 and focus 1. So you can choose to discard the top card of your deck before you attack, and you get to flip an extra 1 over. No white icon though, so we are just left at 3. The problem is Daniel's flipped a lot of blue, but it doesn't matter because the attack was into Skydive. As long as some damage went through, that would be enough. Some damage did go through. It was enough. Oh, now it does look like Daniel's actually going and using the green pip there to get reprocessed back. Will allow you to repair 2 damage from a character. Now, he's flipping over General Optimus Prime, and if it is an action card, you look at the top card of your deck, you do actually then get the opportunity to play it. When you flick into alt mode, discard the top card of your deck. If it's an action, you may play it. And then we just see an attack, I believe, with Flame War here. Now, he has played the bigger they are, which does mean he will, I mean, if the bigger they are gives a little bit of an advantage. Gives you +2 attack, but PS4 if you're against a larger character. And given that Flame War's a 5-star, basically everything's bigger than it. And it does look like we've actually now lost Prowl. Prowl looks like he's gone away. We're down to Ironhide and Optimus Prime. Of course, Skydive also went away previously. We're down to 2 characters each. So we do see another attack here. We've got Bold 2 at least there. Bold 1 on the Ironhide naturally, and gaining Bold 1 from General Optimus Prime. Remember, when he's in ult mode, he gives a bonus to all of your other characters, Bold 1 and Tough 1. Though, like I've said, the lack of blue icons does make a bit less tough going on here. And it really is at this stage down to a orange icons from me and blue icons from Daniel who can actually get enough down. Now, Flame War does go down, but remember that Flame War only had 1 health remaining. It really is General Optimus Prime that is the key of both players' decks here. That is the big boy that should be lasting the longest. So although Daniel's lost his support characters, he is able, he's still got a 21 health character, except it's not 21 health. With the energy pack, it's 25 health. With a Noble's Blaster on there and a sparring gear for the Tough 1. It's going to survive for a little while is my point. It's going to stay around. It's currently undamaged. And it is bigger and badder than his opponent's General Optimus Prime. It has got more stars on it. So when the supports go down, which looks like it's not going to be very far away at this stage, it does look like Daniel's Prime is going to be the bigger and badder of the Primes. So we do see what looks like... So another attack coming out. We've got a Power Punch and a Ramming Speed, both with an orange icon. Remember the rule in Transformers, the second your deck runs out, you shuffle it up, or you shuffle your discard pile, and that becomes your deck, even if, like here, you're mid-flipping. Now, the double orange is quite nice with a Piece Through Tyranny, and another double orange. And then we hit a white, which lets him get 3 double orange. He's flipped all of his Piece Through Tyranny in 1 attack. But remember that Daniel, so we do see 6, 12 coming down. I mean, look, that General Optimus Prime is a big boy, but that is a lot of damage to get down in 1 go. Of course, flipping 3 double orange icon cards in 1 attack, that's gonna help, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna make a big difference. So now Daniel's shuffling up his discard pile, or his scrap pile as we call it in Transformers. That is going to become his deck. Now, he does have a Noble's Blaster on there. That is, it can only go on Autobots, gives you +2 attack, and PS2 against a Decepticon, which of course isn't going to be relevant here, because Ian's deck, is entirely Autobots. The only Decepticon on the field is Daniel's Flame War. Everyone else, full Autobots. So we are going into ult mode here, and he flips an incoming transmission. Draw 2 cards, then put a card from his hand on top of his deck. Double blue icon card would be nice. No, he's attacking, so he doesn't want a double blue icon. He wants an orange icon, and there are 10 in his deck. Now, of course, it is a blind one here. You don't have to show your opponent. Because it's any card, you can do that nice and secretly. You don't need to prove to your opponent what it was. So we do have a Field Communicator there. Now, the sad thing about Field Communicator is that when you attach it to a Specialist, you can scrap the top card of your deck and play it. Prime's not a Specialist. Sorry. But we do see a little bit of damage go through, and that's enough to take out Ironhide. Ironhide's gone down now, and we are Prime against Prime. And as much as I was sat here earlier going, oh, Daniel's got the biggest, baddest Prime, well, Daniel's big, bad Prime's got 12 damage. Ian's Prime has no damage. So, and he is getting the next hit. And remember, he's playing an aggressive deck, and he's already got Bold 1 and Focus 1 naturally on General Prime. This is, base attack of 6. Now, we do see Zap coming down just to drop 1 damage onto General Optimus Prime, what I like to call a bit of cheeky damage. And then we see the flipping over for the attacks. No white icon there. So it looks like we've got 3 orange and 2 blue. So this is going to keep piling the damage on there. Now, there was a sabotaged armaments. It was a secret action. It got rid of the grenade launcher, so that +4 from the grenade launcher didn't work. You can see why sabotaged armaments, it is a secret action of choice in Daniel's deck, and you can see why that is the case here. When you want to keep your bot alive, letting your opponent go unchecked with something like a grenade launcher is, shall we say, not a particularly good idea. Now, it looks like there was a reprocess came out there just to heal a couple damage off. And we've now got double energy pack on there. So double energy pack is actually going to give Optimus Prime, it's an extra 8 health. So instead of being on 21 health, we're on 29 health. So even though there's 16 damage on there, that's not that close. Also, as a side note for anyone who's ever streaming, Daniel's dice are amazing, very clear for the stream. Ian's dice are not good. I cannot make out the number on General Optimus Prime there. It might be a 5? I think that might be a 5 on General Optimus Prime. Oh, here's a fun one. It's an espionage, the only one he plays in his deck. He gets to pick an icon and then potentially discard a card from Daniel's hand. Okay. So, we've got three orange and 2 blue here. So we get another 6 damage coming down. So we're up to 22. Prime has, Prime's lost. Well, if it wasn't for the energy pack, he'd be gone at this stage. What we really need here is something to get rid of all of those upgrades. That would help quite nicely. Now, it does look like a marksmanship has come down. That does a couple of cheeky damage. And then we've got another attack, which is not adding very much. It's all blue icons from Daniel. Oh, and there was actually 1 blue flip from Matrix of Leadership, which we don't expect, right? Like I say, Ian's only playing 5 blue icons in his entire deck. So, getting that 1 cheeky blue is actually quite nice. Now, the Matrix of Leadership is actually adding a little bit of damage there, so that's quite nice. And it looks like that General Optimus Prime on the left, on Ian's side of the board, looks like it might be 13. And bearing in mind he's only got 14 health, and there's no energy pack in Ian's deck. So, can Ian make the most of it here? Can Ian go and get that big KO on Daniel's bot? Oh, is it a 12? It might be a 12 on there now. So we've got Matrix of Leadership. We've got another card which has been completely covered by the glare. And we see an attack, and it's whether we can get the KO. Double orange is going to help. And there's another orange, but no white. Now, he does have the bold 1 naturally from General Optimus Prime, remember? He does have bold 1. Now, the Matrix of Leadership is going to give him +1 attack. And he's got a natural attack here of 6. So that's an attack of 7. We've got 10 with the icons that have already been flipped here. And there's another one for bashing shield. So now it's over to Daniel. And he's got that's not a blue, that's a white. So he gets 3 blue. That double blue does come down here. Plus the 2 natural defense and the Matrix of Leadership. Is it enough? I don't think that's enough to get the KO there. It's up to 26, but it needs to be 29. So we do see a work overtime, drawing a couple of extra cards here. Energon Axe is going to give the guaranteed pierce, which gives guaranteed damage, which means Daniel takes game 1. I did not think he was going to take game 1 as we were coming down their stretch there, ladies and gentlemen. That did not look like what we were going to go and see what was going to happen. But that Energon Axe going on a damage character, getting a bit of pierce, guaranteeing a little bit of damage. And Ian just a tiny bit short there. Daniel goes up 1-0. And I did say it very briefly at the beginning, but let me say it much more clearly now. Huge shout out to the lovely folks at Pastimes. This was their stream, their footage, not mine. I wasn't able to attend the Energon Invitational. Even if I was, they were running the stream. But I did get in touch with the dudes running the stream. They did give me permission to do my own version of the commentary over it, and I thank them very, very much for doing so. Those guys are awesome. I will, of course, link their Twitch in the description. They do stream other events, Transformers, Magic. That's what I saw when I had a look. So huge shout out to those guys. Huge thank you to them for letting me do this. And of course, no disrespect meant to the lovely folks. I think it was Jamie Madison and Matt Smith, one of the designers, who did do the commentary first time round for this. I just thought it'd be fun to do it. And I've had people asking me to do Transformers commentary for a while. I thought this would be a good chance to do so. So we do see Ian starting off. He's not allowed to play any cards, but he is allowed to attack. He attacks with Prowl, and between the white icon and the bold 2, he flips a bunch of cards, and it looks like, again, he's hit 9 damage. Flame War's got 10 health. If he could flip 10... No, yes, that is 9, yeah. So if he could flip 10... and get the KO, that would make a huge difference, but he's not able to do so. So Daniel's Flame War survives. He gets a Laser Cutlass down onto Skydive here. And then he gets a little bit of an attack. And the Laser Cutlass will help a little bit. He does hit an orange with the Sparring Gear. And there are actually 2 blues. 2 of his 5 blues have been flipped by Ian. So we do see a little bit of damage coming down there. Only 3 damage, but still, little bit of damage ain't bad, ladies and gentlemen. Little bit of damage ain't bad. To be fair, Laser Cutlass gave him PS3, so that's essentially what happened. He guaranteed the PS3, but that's still alright. That still gets some damage down on the board. Prowl is not a monster. Prowl is not designed to stay on the board forever. And we see both players here. Well, Ian wasn't forced into it, Daniel was, but going after the support characters, trying to make sure that they're taking out the General Optimus Prime when he doesn't have all the buffs from his pals. So, we do see an attack coming down here. Ironhide's attacking. Again, now we're protecting General Optimus Prime, making sure Daniel can't attack into him. And we've got double orange, and that looks like 6 icons in total. That ain't bad going. Although, to be fair, Daniel's flipped quite a lot of cards with the white and the tough. And then we've got a total of 4 damage coming down on Skydive here. So Skydive's got 8 health. That comes down with a 4. That's not too bad. Ian will probably get him next time. Ian will probably get the KO next time. But it's just 1 more attack. We saw in the last game, Ian came close to KOing both of Daniel's support characters in 1 hit. If he'd been able to pull that off, that might have swung the game for him. Now, Daniel does get an energy pack down, and he plays a secret action, but we know at this stage the only secret action we've got is sabotaged armaments. So it's clearly a sabotaged armaments. So we do see an attack here. We do see the 1 orange from Matrix of Leadership being flipped, and Ian does not flip any blue. Does flip a double orange, which kind of sucks. He'd much rather save that and flip it when he's in when he's in attacking mode. Not a choice he has. But Prowl has been taken out now. Prowl has gone down. And we see Ian just asking to look at Daniel's deck. We don't know how familiar they are at this stage. They might have been able to speak to previous opponents and get a good judge of what's in their list. Ian might be looking for a particular card he's not waiting for. As in, he's not looking forward to coming out. Information is good. It's why we need to flick through discards occasionally. Now, we do see a confidence coming down. Draw 2 cards, scrap 2 cards, and then you get to play another action if you are playing an only Autobot team. And it looks like we play a Supercharge here to get a bit of extra attack going. Supercharge, very nice one. It's obviously got the orange icon, gives you bold 3. Plus, of course, you got the natural bold 1. Plus, you got the extra attack from Matrix of Leadership, and he has hit a white to flip another couple of cards, and he does actually hit the double orange there from Improvised Shield, so that's a lot of attack there. Daniel, for his part, we see a few flipping over, and he has flipped at least one double blue there, so he is taking a bunch of damage onto his Optimus Prime. 7 damage in total, it looks like. But he's got the Matrix of Leadership, and he's got the energy pack there. So he has got a little bit of bulk. Remember, that double energy pack was what saved him back in Game 1, giving him a frankly ridiculous 29 health. And it is difficult to even in a proper aggro deck like Ian's, it is hard to deal 29 damage. So we do see, going into ult mode, showing a marksmanship and immediately using that to do 2 damage to General Optimus Prime, wave 3. I do love that we've got wave 3 Prime against wave 4 Prime here. There's just something beautiful about that. That we're basically going, right, General Optimus Prime, he is the best. Let's use General Prime from wave 3, General Prime from wave 4. We've got a sparring gear here coming out and giving tough 1. We're flipping Flame War into bot mode, which gives each of your characters tough 1, but remember, as a permanent skill. And then it looks like we've got Flame War attacking into Ironhide. We do actually see an orange icon coming from Matrix of Leadership there, which is quite nice. And Ironhide is going to take 3 damage, it looks like. It looks like that's 3 damage. So damage from Daniel here is not coming out all that much. We're not getting much on the board from Daniel here. He's playing his defensive game nicely, and now everyone is tapped. So everyone untaps, and then we go back to Ian. But he's not getting much damage down. There's 9 on his Flame War, 4 on his Skydive, 7 on his General Optimus Prime, compared to 2 on Ian's Prime and 3 on his Ironhide. It certainly seems like Ian's getting the better of the damage here. So we do see Ironhide getting tapped, coming over with an attack. And it did look like we got a double piece. Did he play the piece through Tyranny? No, I think he flipped the piece through Tyranny. And then Daniel's flipping over some of his cards as well. Flips an energy pack. We've seen by now Daniel would much rather draw into his energy pack so that he can attach them to General Optimus Prime, who we must point out does have 3 utility slots, which means you can actually play all 3 of your energy pack straight onto your Optimus Prime, which, I mean, it's going to help you quite a lot, right? It's going to make a huge difference. So we do see Reprocess coming out using the green icon. We saw Daniel do that in the first game. It's no surprise to see him do that in the second game as well. Using the green icon means you can guarantee you get it back after a battle, and it just allows you to heal a couple of damage. And Daniel's playing a defensive healing deck. That's what's important. We do see 2 very different philosophies at play. Ian is going for an I am playing orange icons, I will smash you kind of deck. And there are obviously little subtleties and nuances we'll see as we go through. And Daniel is playing a far more of a defensive deck. It's not a huge healing deck. There are some healing cards in there, but largely it is healing and energy pack to go, look, I've got huge HP. I'm healing. There really isn't a huge amount you can do. And we saw that in the previous game. Ian did so well and got so much damage down, and yet it got to the end of the game, and Daniel was like, ha. Hey-ho. So, we actually saw him scrapping Force Field. Now, Reprocess says you scrap an upgrade from any character, repair 2 damage from that character, so you can either repair yourself, but you've got to get rid of your upgrade, or you can get rid of your opponent's upgrade, but you've got to heal them. It's a fun little card. So we do see the game slowing down a little bit here. Daniel's taking a bit more time with his actions. He does attack with a ramjet here. Does hit a couple of blues. And then, of course, we got the Matrix of Leadership, which is helping him out as well. Matrix of Leadership, if it's on an Autobot leader, which it obviously is, gives your other characters +1 attack and Pierce 1. So we're going to get some damage going through on this. So we see Ironhide there. He's going from 3 damage to 5. It's not a huge amount. The damage isn't coming out from Daniel like you might like here. Daniel's deck doesn't play a huge amount of orange icons. There are 10, there are a bunch. But it means you've got to hit them at the right time and use other stuff like Matrix of Leadership and the bigger they are to try and get some of that attack damage going through. And if you don't get them at the right time, you can be struggling a little bit for damage. Hopefully, you've got enough healing that it all works out, but there's no guarantee. So we do see an attack with Prime here. It had to be Prime, of course, given that the other character is tapped. And we do see 3 orange icons, which isn't too bad. Daniel, for his part, he has flipped the bigger they are, so he's got 1 blue icon coming down here. Now, General Optimus Prime has, on Ian's side of the board at least, in bot mode has a natural attack of 6. Daniel's Prime, in his bot mode, has a natural defense of 2. So we've already got a +4 advantage for Ian. Now, we do have Matrix of Leadership from Ian, which adds a little bit of attack here. And it looks like we got an Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime there as well, which adds a little bit of attack. Though Daniel does have the advantage of his free utility slots. And he has got the energy. I think he's got 1 energy pack down on there, if I remembered correctly. There was a little bit of glare coming down. So he has picked up that sparring gear, which will give him tough 1, which is quite nice. But yeah, Skydive is now gone. Bye, Skydive. Gutted. So we are just down to Prime for Daniel with 10 damage. Ian's got Ironhide and Prime. And it looks like Daniel is going to go after that Ironhide here. Of course, with both characters tapped, Daniel does have a choice as to which one he's going to go after. So he is playing security checkpoints here. Both players reveal their hand and discard any upgrades. But of course, Daniel plays it knowing that he either has none or he doesn't mind discarding them. Ian, well, you saw he lost, what is it, 2 bashing shield? So Daniel does hit an orange icon with his incoming transmission. He does do enough damage to take out Ironhide. And we're back to where we were in Game 1. They've both got their Prime remaining. Ian has actually done some damage to Daniel's Prime. Daniel hasn't done any damage to Ian's Prime. Oh, ramming speed taking out that energy pack is huge because that was giving Daniel's Prime an extra 4 power. So we do see the attack here, and we've seen a couple of orange icons, plus the Matrix of Leadership, plus the Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime. Now, Daniel's coming in here. He's got the sparring gear for the tough 1. He's got all the blue. He's now up to 15 damage, but he doesn't have the energy pack on. What was so big back in Game 1 is that Daniel had the double energy pack, which was plus 8 health, which is essentially just an extra character. There are plenty of 8 health characters running around that see play. Skydive on Daniel's side of the field is an 8 health character. Now, we do see him flicking into bot mode in order to attack here. And we do see him having played a secret action, which we know is sabotaged armaments, which means that Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime, is going to be going down when the attack comes off here. So he's not going to get the +2 attack he is expecting. But Daniel doesn't have any energy pack. He's got the sparring gear. He's got Matrix of Leadership. He's got the natural defense of 2. Now, Supercharge is very much going to help here. Sabotaged Armaments there gets rid of the Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime. Oh, we see 4 orange icons already. 6 orange icons. 7 orange icons. 8 orange icons coming down here with the natural attack and the Matrix of Leadership. Daniel's actually only got 6 health remaining. Is that enough? That is not, unfortunately. Enough damage goes through, more than enough there. And Ian is going to... well, he's going to even the series up 1-1. And for me, looking at this game, it really looked like the difference there was the lack of energy pack. We saw a very similar game. Now, Ian was a little bit slower then. He wasn't getting quite the giant damage early on the support characters as he was in Game 1, though it was still 2-hit KOing, so it didn't really matter, I suppose. But Daniel there, when we got down to both primes, we saw that Daniel just didn't have the energy packs, and had he had double energy pack, he would have survived that last hit. Now, what we're seeing here is a nice example of sideboarding. We've seen that Ian has chosen to forego his little support characters, his Sentinels, that being Prowl and Ironhide, they are out, and he's actually going to a double Prime list with Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, as well as General Optimus Prime. Now, in his sideboard, the only character Daniel's actually got is Private Turbo Board. Now, Private Turbo Board stops your opponent playing more than 2 cards per turn, which I suppose is a nice counter to Optimus Prime Battlefield Legends ability that lets you play an extra action. But it's really in there as a silver bullet to this Daring Escape deck that was all the rage and was at least heavily touted in advance of the Energon Invitational. So I don't imagine he'd put Private Turbo Board in here. It's also interesting to see Ian do this after a win. He won that last game. But the thing is, when you're playing games like this, you've got to be thinking, okay, I won that last game, but I've played 2 games now, how did they go? Over the balance of the first 2 games, do I feel good? This is a best of 5, you can see that on the screen. First player to 3 wins the tournament, and it's an important tournament. There's lots of money on the line, and of course the amazing prize, whereby the winner of this game, this match, will work with the design team of the Transformers TCG to design an actual Transformers card. Make no mistake about it, it's called the Energon Invitational. It is essentially the World Championships. This tournament is a big deal. This isn't some little local tournament where we can kind of have a bit of a play and see what happens. This is serious stuff. And it means a lot to both the players. So Ian here has gone, look, I've played a couple of games. I think I'm going to be better off with this. It might even be a test. He might even be going, look, I want to see how it goes. Ian might not be feeling too confident after the first 2 games, and he might be thinking, right, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to try with this just for 1 game. I want to see how it goes. It's no good to see your opponent win the first 2 games and then try something, because if it doesn't work, you're out. At least if this doesn't work for Ian this game, he can go back and okay, Daniel will be essentially on match point, but at least then he can go, right, I know I'm playing the best version of my deck going into the most important game. So, looks like Daniel will be going first here, and he's just going to straight away attack with Skydive into General Optimus Prime. Does not hit any blues, any oranges, and Ian does not hit any blues, so we've got the natural attack of Skydive for free, going into the natural defense of Optimus Prime, which is free, and no damage is unfortunately done. Sorry. Now we do flick into bot mode on Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, and we attach an Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime, and he flicks 3 cards, but none of them, well, he's flicked 3 cards to give him extra attack. Now, Supercharge does nothing, right? Supercharge gives you bold free, but you can't flip any more battle cards, it's too late. He has whacked a Vandalize in there, which will get rid of all of his opponent's upgrades, but there's no upgrades of one type, but there's no upgrades on the field. So he can, and it looks like he is choosing to use Reckless Charge, and it's not too late to add 4 attack with Reckless Charge, but you've got to take 3 damage in order to do so. The rule is that you cannot add bold at this stage. It's too late to add bold. You've already flipped the cards, but we haven't calculated the damage, so it's not too late to add extra attack. So you've got to think that's probably not the worst decision there from Ian. Yes, he had to take the free damage, but he got the 1-hit KO on Skydive. Is it worth swapping free damage for the KO on Skydive? Quite possibly. Because the other thing to remember is, if we get to the point where all of Daniel's characters are tapped, Ian might end up... No, they've both got 2... I'm lying, sorry. I was still thinking of Ian as playing a 3-wide deck. He is stopping Daniel getting extra attack. Remember, if all of your opponent's characters are tapped but you aren't, then you get to attack with all of your untapped characters. Daniel playing a 3-wide now against Ian's 2-wide potentially gives him extra attacks. But by getting rid of a character this early, he doesn't. Oh, that is so sad. Ian's just flicked 2 double orange while defending. To be fair, there was an attack in game 1 where he flicked 3 double orange while attacking, so maybe this is just all evening out a little bit. Either way, there's a lot of damage already starting to pile up on Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend. So he is flicking back into alt mode here with that Optimus Prime. Flicking into alt mode here lets you grab an action from your discard pile and put it back into your hand. He's going for Vandalize. Now, it's a star card. It lets you get rid of all of your opponent's upgrades of a particular type. Now, it's not huge at this stage, but Vandalize would allow you to get rid of all of your opponent's utilities. So if Daniel got, say, 2 or 3 energy pack onto the same Prime, Ian would actually then be able to play a Vandalize and get rid of all of them. Now, he does drop a Zap to do 1 damage to Flame War. And then he is attacking with General Optimus Prime. Has to be into General Optimus Prime, given the whole Flame War is untapped thing. So we do see, quite a lot of blues coming out from Daniel here. This is what he's looking for. And he's actually drawn that, flipped that reprocess again, which we've seen from the first 2 games, is very much a card he's been looking to get back using that green icon into his hand to use it. He's only playing 1 copy in his deck, but he only needs 2 with a green icon. We seem to be pausing for a little while now. There's a lot of flipped cards here. I think Daniel is just making that decision of whether he actually wants to get that card back or not. So he's actually choosing to go Noble's Blaster, getting rid of a disarm, getting Noble's Blaster back, rather than getting that reprocess. He's going for just that little bit more beef, so to speak. So some damage is done, but really not very much. It looks like a single damage was done. That's the same as a Zap. Now, he does flick to alt mode here, and alt mode lets you play the top card of your deck if it is an action. It is not an action. It is an upgrade. It is Energon Axe. So unfortunately, no. So we do see an attack here, but we're not seeing much damage coming down. Obviously, we've got bigger, bulkier characters here, especially on Ian's side of the board, so we would expect a slightly slower game, at least in terms of damage being done. Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend is really the one that's taken the brunt of the damage on the board as a whole here. So ramming speed is going to come down and get rid of Noble's Blaster. And then it's really which Prime to attack with. Remember, whichever one he attacks with is the one that Daniel has to attack. Outside of a couple characters, none of which are being played here, you've got to attack tapped characters unless you've got a free choice. So Ian here gets a free choice of who to attack, but whoever he attacks with, Daniel will be attacking next turn. So you do have Focus 1 and you have Bold 1 with General Optimus Prime here. Doesn't hit a white, but does hit a double orange. So there's 4 in total. That's not too bad. But we do see a double blue coming down from Daniel, and that is enough to save Flame War here. Flame War's got 10 health, 8 damage has been dealt, and Flame War's actually surviving with 2 health remaining here. And this is what you see as you get deeper and deeper into a final like this. They are going to check their opponent's discard piles just that little bit more often. They're going to spend a little bit more time going, right, I know what you're playing. And it's not just knowing the list, it's knowing the play style. Knowing what each player is likely to do, trying to predict it, and then seeing what's in your scrap pile, what is possible to do here. So a bigger they are comes down, or the bigger they are, so that you can attack with Flame War, and that is going to do some extra damage, get some pierce going on. Nothing but orange flipped by Ian there, which means that the damage is going to be a little bit higher from Daniel. And we see 4 damage coming down. 4 damage is alright. It's not perfect, but it's alright. Unfortunately, as much as Daniel's done a really good job of protecting his General Optimus Prime this game, he's not got the energy pack on yet. And I can be wrong, right? 21 damage is gigantic. But energy pack helps so much. So Work Overtime does draw in a couple of cards here. Improves his options, especially moving forward. And we see an attack with Optimus Prime here. It's going to be going into Flame War. Flame War's only got 2 health remaining, right? So unless Daniel flicks some absurd amount of blue icons, doesn't look like it's going to be enough to save Flame War. Yeah, so Flame War goes down there. It's understandable. But now we're in a weird situation where Daniel's got his 1 big prime, and Ian's got his 2 quite big but not quite as big primes. And you got to think that that's one of the things Ian was hoping for when he went to his double prime list. That he could get rid of the support characters and really make it a 2 against 1. So essentially, Daniel attacks, he's tapped, and then on Ian's turn, he attacks with 1. Oh, all of Daniel's characters are tapped, he gets to attack with the other, and he really gets to pile on a little bit here. Neither of his characters are quite, or neither of his Optimus Primes, are quite as big as Daniel's. But together, they make a difference. Now, we do see Marksmanship coming down, doing a little bit of damage. And then we see General Optimus Prime attacking into General Optimus Prime. Now, he does hit 1 orange there. And he's already got the extra from Matrix of Leadership. Oh, Ian does flick 1 of his blues. He ain't playing many blues. So we do see some damage is going to go through there. So he goes from 6 up to 13, which is 1 away. Ian only plays 5 blue icons. If he hadn't flipped 1 of his 5 blue, and bearing in mind 2 of the blue are on the board, so there's only 3 in the deck at this stage, Daniel would have just gotten the KO there. Now, it is worth pointing out that Daniel does play 3 copies of Marksmanship. He actually played 1 last turn. If he could find 1 of those, he would actually be able to get what I like to call a cheeky KO on General Optimus Prime. That is to say, a KO with cheeky damage, non-attack damage. And if he could pull off something like that and then swing into Battlefield Legend, that would swing things quite nicely. What he doesn't really want to have to do is attack into a character with 1 health remaining just to try and get a KO. There are other ways to do that. So we do see Vandalize coming down here. There is 1 weapon, 1 armor, 1 utility. Vandalize is good if your opponent plays 1 particular type of upgrade so much. Which is unfortunately not what we see on the board right now. So we do see an attack with General Optimus Prime. And yeah, this is nice. I love what Ian's doing here. He's basically forcing Daniel to attack into the character that's only got 1 health remaining anyway. I like this. Again, a Marksmanship from Daniel would screw this up, but outside of that, I really like this play from Ian, just going, look, I'm going to attack you with this dude, plus he's got the bold and the focus, right? It's a better attacker. Well, is it a better attacker? It's got a natural attack of 6 in bot mode, rather than a natural attack of 8, so it's lower. But then you do get the bold 1 and the focus 1, which in a heavy orange deck means more than +2 attack. So we do see a bunch of damage coming down here. Looks like General Optimus Prime is on. Daniel, you're doing so well with the dice. I can't make out exactly how much damage is on there, I'm afraid. We were doing so well. Ian's even flicked to 1 dice, which is easier to read. My vision is good, but the color blindness does hurt with some dice on stream. So we do flick into alt mode, and then we actually play leap into battle. That's going to help out quite a lot. When you flick into alt mode, you get to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an action, you play it. Leap into battle gives you +3 attack. And remember, Daniel's deck is very blue. There are 10 orange icons, but there's 31 blue. Daniel's deck uses stuff like Leap into Battle to give you extra attack without having to sacrifice those blue icons on which you rely. So obviously General Optimus Prime goes down. We had 1 health remaining. We knew he was going down. Now we've got Prime against Prime. Although to be fair, right, 60% of the characters in this particular battle are Optimus Prime. So now we got your natural attack of 8. That goes up to 10 in total. And we've got a natural defense of 2. Plus the extra 1 from the Ion Blaster Optimus Prime. Plus a couple of others. You take some damage there. And then we see a marksmanship hitting Optimus Prime for 2 damage. And now we see an attack in. Can he flip any orange? No orange for him. No blue for his opponent. Has that been enough? I think he's actually just done enough damage between the marksmanship and the attack. Yes, and confirmation there that Daniel has just pulled out game 3 to go up 2 games to 1. So he did have the marksmanship. And he did use the marksmanship to great effect. But it was actually against the other Optimus Prime. And that's what we're seeing Daniel's deck do so well here. You can look at this on the face of it and go, right, it's a deck with a bit of healing that plays a bunch of blue icons. Fine. You're going to get extra HP from the energy pack, which incidentally hasn't really been relevant since game 1. I keep talking about it, but it's not actually made a difference since game 1. It was huge in game 1, to be fair. But even within all these blue icon cards, he's going, right, well, I can do some extra cheeky damage using marksmanship. And I've got stuff like Leap into Battle, which is going to give me extra attack without sacrificing the blue icons. And then this is all going to add together to make a really, really good deck. And Daniel's deck, and I've done a profile on both these decks. I'll pop links in the description to both of these. But what Daniel's deck does so well is a little bit of everything. It's, I imagine at least, I wasn't there when he made it, it's part of Vector Sigma. And to be clear, I've chatted to some people from Vector Sigma. This was, it was a deck that was kind of made by the team. Oh, I forget. I will try and, before the end of the game, I'll try and look up and remember the name of the person who actually did devise this particular deck. But it is a deck which was not easy to come around with. It's not one where... There we go, Andrew Duvall. It was created by Andrew Duvall of Vector Sigma. He was one that initially came up with the deck. And it's an awkward list with awkward things in. But it works so nicely because it gives the options there. And we're seeing that it's giving Daniel the opportunity to go, well, now I need a little bit of extra attack. Now I need a little bit of damage. Now I need a little bit more health. It kind of does a little bit of everything. So Ian here, he's 1-1 with a 3-wide team. He's 0-1 with double primes. He's choosing to stay with double primes here. Clearly thinks he's got a better chance with this. And it is all down to this, right? If Ian doesn't win this game, it's over. And Daniel's going to be the Energon Invitational champion. He's going to be winning more money and designing a card, which is something money cannot buy. So we start off with Ian, and it looks like he finally did it. He finally got that turn 1 big smash. No, wait, did he do it last game? Last game he went second. He got the big smash there. He got the big KO on Flame War. And that's the other thing, right? Flame War is better than Skydive. Flame War helps all of your characters. Skydive has Tough 2. And Tough 2's great, but Skydive helps itself. Flame War helps Optimus Prime. So being able to go first and smash that Flame War out of the game straight away is huge. And now we're starting to see Daniel build up a little bit of damage on Optimus Prime. The Battlefield Legend variety. I love that we're in the final of what is essentially the first World Championships. And it's just an Optimus Prime fest. He is Transformers. He is the big guy. He's the one we all grew up watching and reading about. And it's just all Optimus Prime all the time. That makes me delighted. So Daniel's going to have a slightly harder time here without Flame War. Flame War can grant Optimus Prime Tough 1. It can grant all of his characters Tough 1. Or indeed Bold 1 to try and search for those far less prevalent orange icons. Flame War as a 5 cost is a little bit... Flame War as a 5 cost is good to the point I don't think we're getting another one like it. I don't think it's coming back around. So we do flick into alt mode there, and Ian goes and actually gets what looks like a supercharge back, which is going to give bold free, and he gets an Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime down. Oh, flicks a grenade launcher, and then a double orange with the improvised shield. Oh, but there's a double blue from security checkpoint coming down here quite nicely. So double blue and double orange fighting against each other rather beautifully. So we're just seeing free damage being done. And that's crucial, right? Because we've seen an attack of 3 against Skydive. We've seen an attack of 4 against Skydive. Skydive's got 8 damage. You really want to get a 1-hit KO. But you need to be doing 4 damage to get a 2-hit KO. And Ian's not on pace. And if Ian is 3-hit KOing Skydive, Daniel's going to win this game. Remember, Ian is a big attacking deck. It is on Ian to do the huge damage. Daniel's the one that's trying to just sit and chill. Well, I'd say sit and chill. That's a little bit disingenuous. Sit there and chill with lots of defense and extra health, etc. So we do see Noble's Blaster there, and we do see the bigger they are. And that is just going to give a little bit of extra bulk. Ian isn't able to hit any of his blue icons. There aren't many of them. And that is enough to take out Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend. And somehow, Ian is the first player to go down to 1 character remaining. We said in some of the previous games, Daniel's not been able to get the damage on the field as early as he would like. That is not the case here in Game 3. He's already taken out Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, and when Daniel's deck is starting to pump out the damage and hit the orange icons and the extra attack at the right time, that's how you look at this and go, yeah, Daniel's going to win this. Now, we do see a lot of orange icons coming down here. Of course, the Supercharge does give bold free, so it helps. Plus, the Ion Blaster Optimus Prime gives +2 attack, plus a natural attack of 6. This is going to be a big attack. So we've got 6 coming down. There's more than 6. 9, that looks like. So 9 damage straight away is pretty big. Still a 3-hit KO, mind. And if Daniel can get 2 energy packs, it's actually a 4-hit KO. Man, Wave 4 Prime is so difficult to actually take out here. So difficult. So we do see a sparring gear come down. That's going to give tough 1. We see one of those marksmanship, and Daniel's playing a full 3 copies of marksmanship in his deck. He knows that his deck does not do as much damage as a lot of other decks. Being able to just drop 2 damage playing a card is huge. And we saw in the last game that marksmanship came in really, really big. So we do see an attack coming down here from Prime onto Prime. Now, does actually hit a blue icon, plus the defense of Ion Blast of Optimus Prime. So, he's doing all right. Oh, I can't see how much damage that is. It's a bit. The thing is, that Skydive's got tough 2. And tough 2, especially in a heavy blue deck, is not to be ignored. It's going to keep it on the field a little bit longer. So Daniel here, I mean, clearly in a very, very good position. He's got the sparring gear. He's got Noble's... Oh, okay, had the sparring gear. That's gone now. Got Noble's Blaster. Got Matrix of Leadership. Bearing in mind, Matrix of Leadership is giving +1 attack and PS1 to Skydive. So Skydive is going to do some damage. Even if it's not a lot, it's going to get some damage going through. And the problem is, like I've said, if Ian's against a 2-wide deck with essentially a 1-wide deck, that is going to, throughout the course of the game, give Daniel extra attacks. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. So we do see Vandalize come down here, gets rid of the Matrix of Leadership. And then General Optimus Prime gets tapped, and we see 2 icons. I was going to say, there needs to be at least 1 more coming down there, because we know he's got tough 1 naturally in bot mode. When I first saw General Optimus Prime, I think the tagline of the video I did on him was, it does everything. Because it's got bold 1 and tough 1 and focus 1. It's pretty big. And that extra 1 was a white icon that only actually gave 1 extra orange in total. So we do... that energy pack was the next card to draw into. Bit sad. So we do see some more damage coming down, but it's not enough. And remember, that skydive is still there. So here, in Daniel's turn, oh look, my opponent's tapped out, but I've got 2 untapped characters. So at the end of this turn, Daniel's actually going to be able to attack twice. He's going to get an extra attack off. And even if one of them's with Skydive who's quite weak, it's still an extra attack. And this should go without saying, but let me say it nice and clearly. Extra attacks are good! And it looks like Daniel has already done enough to take out General Optimus Prime and be crowned as your Energon Invitational Champion. Congratulations to Daniel Arnold. Actually managed to keep one of his support characters alive in that last game. Absolutely wonderful play there from both players. Commiserations to Ian. Ian did everything he could in that game. He switched to the 2-wide deck when what he was doing previously wasn't working. He flicked around with his strategies, he did everything he could, but the fact of the matter was he was playing an aggressive deck, and we saw this over the course of 4 games. Wasn't really doing enough damage. Maybe if in game 1 he'd been able to do 1 more damage to Flame War and 1 more damage to Skydive, he could have taken game 1 and then we'd be going to a deciding game, a game 5, and maybe that would have made a difference, but this is all a moot point at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, because Daniel Arnold is your Energon Invitational Champion. Congratulations to him, and of course to the whole Vector Sigma team. Vector Sigma, incidentally, brilliant website you should definitely be checking out for Transformers content. They've done it was really early on, but back in Wave 1, they did a phenomenal article about Dinobots, and when I was talking about how Bold is worth more generally than extra attack in a aggressive deck, that's where I got it from. So congratulations to Arnold, commiserations to Ian, and a huge shout out once again to Pastimes for providing the footage and being awesome people and allowing us to commentate over it. It is very much appreciated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about the final? What were your favourite plays? What moments stood out to you? And which of these decks are you going to go and make and have a bit of a play with? Remember, there are profiles about both of them in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy. That's where we talk Transformers and other games. And do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio for some bonus pods, and you can support the channel and all kinds of fun stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.